It's another historic win. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. Karen Bass has been elected, becoming first woman as Los Angeles mayor. Let's talk about this. Bass overcame Caruso's enormous financial advantage. He spent more than $100 million of his own money. Representative Karen Bass has defeated businessman Rick Caruso in the Los Angeles mayor's race, according to an Associated Press projection Wednesday, making her the first woman and second black Angelino elected to lead the city in its 241-year history. The 69-year-old Congresswoman achieved victory despite Caruso spending more than $100 million of his own fortune on his mayoral bid, shattering local spending records and pumping previously unprecedented sums into field outreach and TV advertising. The results are in, and it is the honor of my life to be elected as your mayor, Bass said in a Wednesday afternoon email to supporters. It's time to house people immediately, increase safety and opportunity in every neighborhood, and create a new standard of ethics and accountability at City Hall. Caruso, 63, outspent Bass more than 11-1, but was ultimately unable to prevail as a former Republican. Very interesting. In a sapphire blue California city. Preliminary results seesawed on election night, but by early the next morning, Caruso had eked out a thin lead, buoyed by support from voters who marked ballots in person, vote by mail ballots. Process after election day strongly favored Bass, and her margin in the race steadily grew. As of Wednesday, she was leading by just over 6 points. I'm proud of the work we did to engage long-neglected communities, giving a voice to the unheard, and to the light we shined on the biggest challenges facing our great city, Caruso said in a concession statement. There will be more to come from the movement we built. But for now, as a city, we need to unite around Mayor-elect Bass and give her the support she needs to tackle the many issues we face. Congratulations, Karen, and Godspeed. Bass' paths to City Hall had begun to seem like a foregone conclusion in recent days, though more than 100,000 votes likely still remain to be counted. The LA County Register Recorder County Clerk's Office is expected to certify the results on December 5th. Born in South Los Angeles, raised in the Venice Fairfax area, and now a longtime resident of Bowman Hills, Bass has spent her life deeply rooted in Los Angeles. Her social justice ideas have taken her from a county emergency room to nonprofit leadership and ultimately the halls of power in Sacramento and Washington, D.C. Her commute will grow far shorter on December 12th when the Bowman Hills resident is sworn in to succeed Eric Garcetti as Los Angeles' 43rd mayor. This moment is tremendously historic for two reasons, said USC Political Science and International Relations Department Chair Angie Marie Hancock Alfargo, citing Bass's win along with a broader transportation and local political leadership. 5 years ago, there were 2 women on Los Angeles City Council and none held citywide office. By the end of 2022, at least 5 women will be seated on the council and 2 will hold citywide office. Bass and incoming city attorney Heidi Feldstein Soto. At the county level, women now hold all 5 seats on the Power Board of Supervisors, which historically had been overwhelmingly male. Los Angeles is really experiencing what I call a moment in women's leadership in history, Hancock Alfaro said. Bass will take control of a city marked by corruption scandals, with a spiraling homelessness crisis and profound inequities deepened by the COVID-19 pandemic. Confidence in local government is seemingly at a nadir after a series of city hall indictments in recent years and the release of a leaked audio recording less than a month before the election that revealed top officials making racist comments and scheming to maintain political power. Gotcha. In the days before the election, Bass said her first priority upon taking office would be to declare a state of emergency on homelessness and work to get people housed in the city where as many as 41,000 people sleep in tents, RVs, and other makeshift housing. The city's first competitive mayoral race in nearly a decade was a story of contrast, with two candidates who symbolize divergent visions of the city. Bass, a black woman, has spent decades in public service, evolving from an activist organizer to pragmatic elected official as she fought for incremental gains in undeserved LA communities. The former Assembly Speaker and six-term member of Congress has a reputation as a decidedly low-key politician, known for her skills as a coalition builder. Caruso, a white man, built a real estate empire on spectacle and spectacular attention to detail, created highly controlled private spaces like the Grove Shopping Center that evoked an idealized version of urban life. His high sheen candidacy, which largely focused on his easy, digestible pledge to clean up LA, painted the former police commissioner president as a political outsider with the business chops to succeed where longtime politicians have failed. Ultimately, however, it was the candidates disparate. Oh, pardon me. Ultimately, it was the candidates disparate political histories that became the defining divide of the race. My bad, y'all. My apology. Bass, a lifelong Democrat, built up a virtual wall of support from the Democratic establishment in the general election. Those lockstep endorsements from Democratic elected officials and clubs helped buttress Bass's frequent contention that she was the only Democrat in the race to lead an overwhelmingly blue city. The real estate developer registered as a Democrat for the first time in late January, less than 3 weeks before he declared his candidacy. Yeah, let's just let that sink in for a minute. 3 weeks before he declared his candidacy, he switched parties. Partly, history weighed less heavily during the early months of a primary defined by voter frustrations around homelessness and crime. But Caruso's Republican past became an inescapable albatross in the summer and fall. This race, the first modern LA mayoral election to be held in an even year, cinched up with state and federal elections, advanced amid an encroaching backdrop of hyper-partisan national politics. The rancorous battle for control of Congress was never far from view, and the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade 2 weeks after the June primary made abortion's rights an unlikely but potent campaign issue. Caruso loudly touted his support for abortion's rights throughout the race, but his past donations to anti-abortion politicians and murky history on the issues lent Bass a formidable line of attack. I'm just going to read 2 more paragraphs and this story is going to be finished. The real estate developer built some of the region's best-known retail centers, but had little name recognition when he entered the field. Unprecedented spending and an onslaught of advertising helped Caruso surge propulsively into contention and finished second in the primary. But Bass retained her status as a robust frontrunner through much of the months-long battle to succeed Garcetti. It was only in the final weeks before the race that polling significantly tightened, as Caruso poured roughly $3 million to $4 million a week into his barrage of advertising. Bass's political consciousness took shape at the apex of the civil rights movement as a young girl listening to the news before dawn each morning with her letter carrier father. She started her career as a nurse and physician's assistant, working through the height of the crack cocaine epidemic. As the crisis devastated South LA communities, Community Coalition, the politically influential nonprofit she founded, began with a living room meeting Bass led in 1990. long before she became the first black woman to lead a legislative body. As California Assembly Speaker, Bass's community-based leadership frequently brought her to City Hall as an advocate pushing lawmakers from outside the system. Now, amid fractious battles and frequent protests in city council chambers, she will return to City Hall as the ultimate insider, the leader of the nation's second largest city. Congratulations, Madam Mayor. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never